Today we're learning about arcs and central angles, dealing with circles here. So our first thing, minor arc. A minor arc is an arc that goes less than halfway around the circle. So it'd be something like this. This would be a minor arc, and the way that we note that would be XZ with the little arc symbol on top. Or I could say XW. Or I could say YW. If I say YW, sometimes it's confusing. Am I talking about YW going this way? Am I talking about YW going this way around the circle? You are always going to go the shortest distance. So my shortest distance means that I'm going from this Y to this W down this way. So that's the arc that I'm referring to. That's for your minor arc. And then we have our major arc. Major arc goes more than halfway around the circle. So I can start from my Y and end this way. Now, usually when you name a major arc, you're going to name it in 3 points. So this would be Y, X, and W. It doesn't matter which point you use in the middle. You just have to have your 2 endpoints listed where they're the first and the last. And you could have picked X or Z. I could also have done it this way, which would have been Y, W, X. So I have my minor arc and I have my major arc. And then I also have I also have a semicircle. Your semicircle goes exactly halfway around the circle. And it'd be this guy right here. The way that I would write that would be arc Y, X, Z. Or if I'm talking about this part down here, then I would name it as Y, W, Z. So a semicircle is half of your circle where the endpoints are is the diameter of your circle. A central angle is 2 points on a circle and the vertex is the center of your circle. So I can look at this guy here, X, A, Z. So this is the angle that I'm looking at, and I would just say angle X, A, Z. Or I could say angle Y, A, W. So those are my central angles where the vertex is the center of your circle. The measure of an arc is the exact same as its central angle. So if I have this guy here, I know that my arc is 55 degrees from arc EF, that minor arc there, which means this angle here is also going to be 55 degrees. It is the exact same value. My arc for CG is 130, which means this arc is going to be 130. And from that, I should be able to figure out all of my different angles. I know that DG is a diameter, which means half of this circle is going to give me 180. If I know I already have 130, then my CD, this arc CD is going to have to be 50, which means this angle here has to also be 50. With these, you also want to remember your vertical angles. This guy here has to also be 50. And all your angles together in a circle add up to 360, or you could just be looking at these guys here. These should all equal 180, or these guys here all equal 180. However you want to solve this to figure out what this missing angle is, which should be 75. And the same thing would be true for the arc, that it makes 75. I want to know if these arcs are minor, major, or a semicircle. So let's figure out all of these measurements first. So I know I have my 90 degree, which means this arc here has to also be 90. I know this arc has to be 45 because it's the exact same as its central angle. If my FI is my diameter, I know this part here is going to be my semicircle. It's going to give me 180, which means this missing piece is going to be 135. And so this arc here is also 135. Again, I have a vertical angle. So this guy's going to be 45, which means this arc is going to be 45. And then this little missing piece, again, however you want to figure this out, they all add up to 360, or this guy, half of it's going to be 180. However you figure this out, you're going to get that he is also 45 degrees. So the measure of arc HI, you're just looking at this right here. HI is going to be equal to 90. the measure of arc IJG, IJG. You have to go in that order, IJG. Starting with I, going through J, and continuing to G. So I'm going to add all of these guys together. I'm going to add 45 plus 135 plus 45, and that's going to give me 225. And then I want to look at the measure of arc GHJ. So I'm starting from G, going through H, and ending at J. So this part right here. So how much is that? And that's going to give me 180. Those are the measurements of my arcs. And it's also asking me to figure out what kind of arc it is, minor, major, or a semicircle. 90 degrees, oops. So 90 degrees, it's less than 180, which means it's going to be a minor arc. 225, it's more than half of your circle, which is going to be a major arc. And then exactly half of your circle is your semicircle. Let's find the measurements of these arcs or central angle, whatever it's asking you for. I'm looking at angle DEDF. Before I do that, these guys, I want to go over this. These do mean that these two angles here are congruent. Their vertical angles are going to be the exact same measurement. So let's figure out what that is first. I know all this together is going to add up to be 360. So I'm going to take 360 and I'm going to subtract my 130, subtract the 35, and subtract 55. And whatever I'm left with, I'm going to divide it by 2. Because these are the exact same. And when I do that, I get this to be 70 degrees, and this is also 70. So if I'm looking at the measure of angle EDF, I know that's going to be 70 degrees. Looking at arc, there's my symbol for arc. So arc FGH, going from F to G to H, means I'm going to add 130 plus 70, which is going to give me 200. And then I'm looking at my central angle of HDE. HDE, this guy here. So HDE, I'm going to add 35 plus 55, which is going to give me 90. This one, I have to draw my own picture. They're only telling me that segment DG and HE are diameters of my circle centered at C. So how can I draw this? I'm just going to have a circle here. Actually, I'm going to put my circle over on this side. So I have a circle, and I know I have a center of C. A diameter of DG, doesn't really matter where I put my D and G, it's going to go straight through. So I have D and G going straight through the center of my circle. And then I have another diameter HE. So I'm just going to cross this somewhere. And it's just a sketch. It's totally fine if your measurements don't come out right. You have HE. They're telling you that your angle of DCH, this angle right here is 138 degrees, which means this arc here is also going to be 138. So I was able to make my picture. And I want to figure out the measurements of these arcs. Well, I know if HE is a diameter, that it's cutting my circle in half. Because this guy is 138, I know these two angles have to add to be 180. So he has to be 42, which means this arc is also 42. And again, with vertical angles, I know this guy is 42, and here is 138. The same thing is true for the arcs that it makes. So now if I'm looking at DEH, D, starting from D, going through E and ending at H, I'm going to add these three arcs together. So I'm going to add 42 plus 138 plus 42, which gives me 222. Looking at the measure of arc DE, again, you travel your shortest distance. So I don't want to go around this way. I want to go my shortest distance here, which is 42. And then arc DHE, starting from D, going to H, and ending at E. So for this guy, I'm just going to take my entire circle, which is 360, and I'm going to subtract 42, because this part here, I don't want this part. I just want from D going to H and ending at E. So 360 minus 42, which leaves me with 318. All right, so I hope that was, I hope you guys are able to do your Go Formative. If you have any questions, go ahead and text me, email me, and I'll get back to you when I can. I have also put up the frequently asked questions on past homework assignments, so you can go back and take a look at those before the Go Formatives close. All right, guys, thanks.